Golfers, welcome back to Stafford Golf and Leisure over in Stafford with the main man from the Golf Academy, Craig Thomas. Thanks for having me back, pal.
Good to see you again.
Cheers, pal. Lesson 1, if you guys didn't see lesson 1, it will be pinned at the end of this video. It was entertaining.
Yes, it was, to say the least. Just recovered, and now I've got you back.
Yeah, so I've had a bit of time here with Craig going through some different things. Episode 2, Craig, what we're going to be focusing on today?
I think really from what we saw in episode 1, I think that the viewers would quite agree that we need to probably revisit what we were talking about there, really. You know, there was some interesting movements we saw you doing there, and you know, like you said, we've had a little bit of time just beforehand, you know, just to kind of go back through that as we do and do the sort of refresher on that. So I think we'll kind of, we'll pick a little bit back on that. I think we sort of talked a bit about that sort of understanding the 50 yards last time. I don't think we kind of got it 1 yard off the ground. So 50 yards is still our main goal. So I think we'll sort of, so we're gonna so I think sort of continue with that a little bit and that theme and see where the session takes us.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you know we've touched on a couple of things earlier today, so I think it'd be nice to sort of see what we've touched on, share that with the viewers, and sort of see the results. Yeah.
So just obviously we did put it out there because normally when I'm doing lessons with Craig, it's anywhere from an hour or just over an hour. That's where a normal golf lesson is. Obviously, you guys don't want to sit through the full hour of it. So we've had a little bit today, like a 10-minute, half hour today, just talking, go through different things. So we're going to try and compact as much as it into 30 minutes as possible, ain't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
No promises, but we will try.
Yeah, we like to talk.
It's good.
It's good to talk.
BT, it's good to talk.
Absolutely.
Okay then, Craig. So let's start. Where and what we're doing.
Okay, so I think what we sort of touched on a little bit earlier. So and in the first session, we could clearly see that our arms were detaching from the body quite considerably, which was exposing the hosel of the golf club to the ball, causing us to shank a lot of golf shots. So you know, we talked a little bit about connection of the arms and how we can create connection, didn't we?
I love that drill. That drill with the...
Yes, so that was a really good drill. I think that was towards the end of the session, which really hit home with us a little bit there. So we're gonna sort of just hit a few shots to start with, just to sort of see where we're at. You've had a little bit of time between lesson 1 to today to sort of explore that, and at home doing that drill, and let's just sort of see how much more connected we are to see what we need to go forward. So if we're already there, that'll be great. We can then sort of start to have a little look at some other components that determine what happens to the golf ball in its flight, hopefully going forwards and upwards. And then we can start to sort of draw on a little bit of that. So we're going to let you hit 3 or 4 shots.
So
see what happens.
So we've got a 58 degree.
We're going to stick with that 58 degree shot.
And same again,
3 yard sort of swing.
3 o'clock to 9 o'clock.
Okay, and that's the end of the lesson.
Exactly.
Great shot. 55 yards. Very good. We can see a little bit of information. Slightly left the target. Not too bad. We'd be more than happy with that.
So all you guys that have probably seen me down on the driving range, that towel between my arms thinking I'm daft, proof's in the pudding, because in the first lesson, it was like...
Yes, absolutely.
What did you say, a monkey falling out of trees?
Certainly, I've seen a few monkeys falling out of trees on holidays at times, but never in the sim room here at the castle. So
you're welcome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's been an honour. So a huge improvement. But what we can start to see a little bit there is that we have got that sort of left miss. So we're going to have a little look at why it's gone a little bit to the left. And something interesting we talked about, obviously previously to this session, was a little bit of club face issues that we're seeing, which was quite interesting. I think it's an important one for the viewers to see, because many golfers have grips, obviously the grips on the golf clubs, like fancy grips, like yourself, and with the writing on the top. And most golfers, when they align the golf club to the writing, and very much sort of ignore the club face, and ultimately it's the club head that hits the golf ball. One of the common themes we've been having is where we've sort of Rich's grips are slightly off centre. We won't say who fitted them. Mind you, it was three years ago, so they have moved, I promise. So they are slightly off centre, and because obviously you're taking the viewpoint of the grip and ignoring the club head, it's sort of showing the club face a little bit sort of turned in, really, which we've sort of was a bit of a mind boggler, I think, earlier on. So what we've sort of started to do is trying to focus a little bit more on this leading edge. which is what we're going to focus a little bit more on there. So whilst the club path is a little bit left, which is something that, again, we've come across along with, again, we'll talk a little bit about that. The club face is a little bit closed. So we've lost a bit of signal there. Do apologise, technical error.
It's okay. Back on.
There we go, we're back in. So that's it. Technology at its finest. So, so with that in mind, okay, so just keep an eye on that club face to start with for me if you can.
Yeah.
Okay, so just getting that feeling of the club, showing us a little bit more loft.
Yeah.
We can.
I will put some still pictures just to show you what Craig was saying about where that club face was, because if I'm honest, I never really. It's bizarre because now that you've pointed it out, it's like it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like that club now, how I'd normally have it, is super closed off.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's quite interesting because then the brain has a subconscious way in which it sort of will compensate that. So although it's not deliberately closed in the past you may have been missing shots left, which there in turn may lead to you making in-swing compensations to allow for that left miss. But at no point have you recognised the club face being turned in. You've always assumed it's an in-swing. So, so again, a tough one to beat, if I'm honest. There is a little bit of information. We can sort of work a little bit on the path there. But certainly as a start point, we're just going to really just getting that feel of that club face. So, you know, always make sure you're lining that leading edge. Okay, I'm just going to come and stand down the line here. That's great. That's great. Very good. There we go.
Straight down. 54.
So 54. I mean, what a difference from lesson one there.
You've got to see lesson. You've got to pause this.
Absolutely.
I'm going to put a card stamp right at the very top. Touch that, and then go and see what this monkey falling out of a tree looked like on episode 1. It just goes to show them drills. Even now, as a new golfer, you feel stupid doing them. Absolutely. But you've got to do it. You've got to learn that club face. You've got to learn how the club swings around.
Exactly that. And you know, again, just 2 shots in a row. And you know, we can't stress enough the difference between. And there's probably more pressure on today's session and you hitting for the viewers than there was in lesson 1. Do you know what I mean? Because you know, we knew how bad it was in that session, and you know. But again, like you said, you've ground away at it. You put in the effort. And the results show really, and we know we're looking at consistency and awareness of what does 50 yards look like, and I think that was kind of what we tried to do first time, and we very much succeeding today. So we talk about knowing your golf swing a little bit, and again, something we mentioned earlier. So I think again an important thing to share is for consistencies, is the golf club going back to the same point every time, and what is your reference point for 50 yards? So, you know, give or take 4 or 5 yards, we're not going to lose any sleep on that. Certainly as a newer golfer, as a beginner golfer, that you can get the ball so in line and such a good consistency in the distance there. So like, what is your reference point for 50 yards now? It's a 58-degree wedge.
So 58-degree wedge, it's that clock. I've been working on the clock. So the ball is at 6. My head is at 12, and it's more about where my arms, like the clock arms. Brilliant. So it would be more, if I'm doing that 50-yard shot, I want to feel as if my arms stop at 9. And then as it comes through, try and keep my arm stopping at 3.
Okay, so then your right arm becomes a sort of straight arm. Left arm to right. Good. That's your reference point then. And then as long as you maintain the tempo, there's no reason why that will change, and you know, that's clearly what we're seeing there. So now you've really worked on that consistent point, and it's very clear that's getting the result. 100%. I'm up for a shandy. So you know, they do say let's get a hat trick.
Okay.
Let's go for 3 in a row. The strike turkey or whatever they call it. Okay, so a little bit pulley that time. Okay, so that's interesting. So give me some feedback. What did you feel?
I felt I tried to give that a bit more beans, but it felt like It felt like the 9 o'clock was okay,
yes,
but I couldn't control the 3 o'clock.
Okay.
It felt like the 3 o'clock went a bit further.
Okay, so great feedback. Really good feedback. So again, this is where sort of, when we're learning with a little bit of data, a lot of people go to golf ranges, and golf ranges are great, and they get the technology on the ranges, but what it doesn't tell you is actually what's going on. So they'll see the outcome from the ball, but not actually really know what's going on. That's where, obviously, if you know, the viewers have a lesson, utilising these facilities with coaches is fantastic. And
I've got to say it before, he hates me doing this, and he told me off last time, but I'm going to do it anyway. If any of you from the surrounding areas want any lessons from Craig or any of his team at the Golf Academy at Oxley, Wolverhampton, Stafford and the surrounding areas, all Craig's details is going to be at the bottom. Sorry, pal.
That's right. So what we can see there is actually we've seen a massive improve in our club path. So again, I like to listen to your feedback. So rather than me as a coach coming into me and saying what you've done, because I'm not really, that's not going to help you. What you're doing is giving me feedback. What did you feel? Yeah. So then what we can do is turn that into factual information. So your feedback was really, really good. So I'd agree your backswing was pretty good to the previous two. Yeah. What we can see is our club path was like 0.3 degrees right. So your tendency is to go left, so that actually is a big improvement. So what's happened there and where you've lost control is, as we can see here, the club face has closed in. Now we know it's better at the start because we've talked about how we make it better. So we know if it had been previously when we had the club face shut, we could have blamed that, but now we can't. So we know that somehow our club face has closed in, which relates to the hands. So when the club face turns in a little bit, it has a couple of different factors. So as the club face is turned in, one, it's de-lofting the club, okay? So it makes it stronger, okay? And secondly, when you're then introducing those excessive hand movement into it, and I think something we've picked up on certainly in the past there, where we see your right hand wanting to sort of get over when you've said, I felt like I tried to give it a bit more. So what that then has done is it increases club head speed because you're introducing another factor that applies power. So all of a sudden, that's where our distance control is varying on that case, and why you've not been able to control it as well here is almost because my hands have sort of got involved a little bit for this sort of shot. And because again, I kind of almost can't feel it. Whereas on shots 1 and 2, you have really good control of your hands through the ball, so therefore you're able to hold that finish. So that one there has very much come from my hands becoming a little bit too active through the impact, shutting the face down a little bit.
So that gives it more gives
you more club head speed because your hands, you know, if you imagine, if you were to do that at there, my hands are working at one speed, the club's doing that. Now, if I move my hands or my arms at the same speed, the bottom end is a bit slower. So that club head is moving slower than sort of the same arm speed, but then I integrate my wrists. So when we're trying to play a feel shot, where we're trying to get a consistent, we're not looking for power, so we don't need the hands to give us the speed and the distance. We're trying to keep that out of it. So what's really important, and again, even though we're only just trying to work these 50 yards, we're able to identify, well, all of a sudden, you might go, oh, that's great, it's gone 75 yards, but it wasn't meant to. And I didn't put a 75-yard swing on it. So what changed? So it's clearly something's changed, and we can see from the club face. So that was the problem there. So just trying to, you know, making sure that, again, when people often come to me for coaching, they kind of, they give me feedback on what they're doing based on their opinion, not always based on facts. So my job is really just to sort of say, actually, tell me what you feel, and we'll make sense of that. And actually, you know, you felt this, why have you felt it? So that was good. So, you know, we're very much able to identify that from there.
If I'm doing my 50-yard shot at any point when I overswing, that's me trying to put more.
So you're potentially trying to put more force into it, and the only way you can generate force from there is from your hands, because your club's only gone back to this, let's say, you know, this position here. I refer to that as being the L swing, if you like, but you've got a clock face, which I love, so that's your reference point. So from there, if I just maintain that position, I can only generate so much force. So if I then try to create more force from that position, generally we see often it's coming from the hands, trying to do it and get a bit too involved. So we're not trying to hold them off. We're not trying to stop them doing anything. We don't want to then, next thing we see golfers trying to do that sort of movement, which is really horrible. But you've done it into an excessive amount, which is why we've seen that change. So let's try and repeat shots 1 and 2.
Okay, 3 o'clock, 9 to 3, come on. It's definitely, I've just done that again, Craig.
Have you shut that club facing?
Yeah, I just lined back up with that.
Good. I definitely think if people are having new grips put on, unless you've got to have funky grips, certainly grips that have got no markings on are good, because then you're not relying on anything on the grip, because obviously grips are mass produced. There are going to be anomalies and stuff, and certainly if you know, we've got grips that probably aren't genuine from manufacturer as well. They're not always like right. So so it's certainly, if you have got a funky grips, again, I would tend to recommend buying proper ones from a pro shop. I appreciate they're more expensive than what you get online.
You get what you pay for.
You do. But as a preference, I tend to prefer grips that have got no markings on. Because then you're only relying on the club face for alignment. That's a preference. I'm not saying it's a complete...
No, because that's where I've failed. That's where I've been going wrong in some parts, by thinking that because that is lined up to how I believe it should be lined up, and not focusing as much on
the face itself,
club face. That's
absolutely.
Because we were saying that earlier. I'm always, even a couple of degrees closed can cause you trouble.
It's margins, isn't it? You know, and as you get better, those margins, you know, get smaller. So, you know, generally as newer golfers, you know, their degrees out can be more. Great. Okay. Good distance.
We're
a little bit pulley left, but again, good for distance. So we can again start to identify there was a little bit less hand action in there. So again, sometimes we don't get always the readings that we want to get. Sometimes
just break down to me again, Craig. Is that me pulling?
So what we can see there is when we look at the shadowing on the screen here, that kind of gives us an idea of the ball flight. So if a ball was having sort of curvature in here, we would see that there would be like a bowing of the shadow. So we can see from point A to B,
arrow,
is pretty much on a straight line. So it is a pull. A pull is a straight shot. It's a straight shot. A push is a straight shot. But a pull left. So what that tells us is that our club face, as we've hit the ball, so our club face as we're hitting it, and the direction of the golf swing were fairly close together. Because if the club face is left or right of the club face, it would change the direction. So we'll either change loft and distance, or it certainly create curvature. We know that as I've come into that ball, we've gone back, and as we've come into it, I've not quite got that sort of face and path straight closer to target line. What we've done is we've just slightly gone round on it a little bit, dragged it round a little bit low, if you like, round the body.
You know what's coming. You know what's coming next, do you? What drill can I do to improve that? Because if honestly, golfers, you've got to go and watch episode 1. This is night and day. Even now they're a little bit left, but continue to do those drills, making sure I'm connected, making sure I'm setting up at the centre of the club, not at the hosel, making sure, you know, all them things that we've been doing. What can I do now to practice?
What I kind of like is I like to sort of initially feel what it feels like to go past the ball, if you like. So I do like to use almost like something you can very simply do in the garden. So it's a bit of a push drill, if you like. So if I you know, in the garden, you can, you know, put a plant pot or something in down the garden, so we get a mat.
I've got to tell you, Mrs. G won't be happy, but I went to my mate. Have you seen the spray? You mark the tarmac spray.
Oh dear.
I do it all over the back garden.
Oh dear.
I just don't.
I do get in trouble with a few when I give drills, so I get a bit nervous. So don't use the favourite plant pot. Get a bin, anything like that. So what you're going to do is you're going to set up to the ball as you would. And or you could get the children in the garden. You're going to sort of whack golf balls at the kids when they're
catch this arch.
That's it. So what you're going to do is, you know, I'm the bin. So if you set up that ball for me. So what we're going to try and do is recognise what it feels like to go from the ball, just past the ball and through into that end position. So I want you to get right through to that end position that you're trying to achieve. But I want you to just from there push the ball to where I am. So push the ball to me. Great. Okay? So starting to recognise what does that feel like. Because if you were to, if I just put the ball there, if you were to sort of drag it left, you would drag it that way.
That feels to me as if the club as pushing it forward, it's as if I'm trying to let the club head go out.
Okay, yes, but we don't want to go out because that can then start to bring back into that sort of creating a little bit of a shank where if I'm trying to push out that way, I can start hitting out the hosel.
Yeah.
So what is good is to recognise the difference. So when you feel like you're straight or in line, it naturally wants to sort of come this way a little bit. So from, whereas I coming into impact, as I'm coming in, I'm just a little bit round to the left there, and then I'm sort of through and it's this position. Yeah. Yes, you're a little bit straighter through just past the impact point, then it'll start to work its way around. What often I see with a lot of golfers is they come, and then next thing they're out trying to go out there.
Yeah, that's what I was
trying.
trying.
Major detachment of the arms, which then it's that sort of feeling like I'm sort of pushing away, which creates lots of shanky shots again. Yeah. Because as I'm sort of going into the ball that way, my arms are pushing away, which is moving the club away. So we're not trying to do that. It's just that it's that early stage here. Is that feeling like I'm sort of just past the ball, sort of throwing the ball forward, so the club face and the path is down the line of the target. Yeah. Then it starts to work round. So what again make sure we don't think is it's like a straight line for a long period of time. So
on that
often I see golfers with their alignment sticks in this sort of position. Yeah. And what they do with their alignment sticks is they're almost sort of trying to keep it down that line for far too long, and that's wrong. Yeah. Okay, so it's almost like we would be on that line as we sort of get we're into here, we're coming from the in, we come back to square, which is straight here. Yeah. And then just past impact, we're still square, then we start to work gradually back in. Okay? Yeah. So where we go is we come in, we come sort of round and back into in too quickly. So we've got to keep it back through almost like a small period just through the ball, where that's like a square period, an in-line period.
Don't try and push.
Yes. And also, we talked about the hands as well in the club face. So if I'm swinging through and getting my hands up, can sometimes get my hands a little bit active. Yeah. My hands sort of turning through the ball a little bit early can also influence the path, because if my right hand is trying to turn the club, it's almost going to influence where my forearm, my arm goes, my right shoulder. So, again, just we've sort of talked about trying to make sure you keep the hands a little bit quieter so you can keep that face a little bit squarer. So as I'm keeping the club through that period here, that can help to retain the direction of your arms, which therefore is the path. Yeah. Whereas if I'm turning the club at this point, the weight of the club and the weight of the toe turning can drag it round as well. So it's a bit of a combination. So I do quite like a bit of a pushy drill, if you like, just to kind of recognise what it feels like just through that impact position.
So we're saying roughly about 6 to 8 inches with the ball before it reaches.
So almost just like a grip.
Yeah.
You imagine a grip. So by the time you're kind of getting in, you're really focused on getting it square through that point, and then once you get to the end of the grip, then it'll start naturally, because at the end of the day, it's got to arc around the body, hasn't it? Yeah. The golf swing, is a circle, isn't it? So it's a circle around your body. Yeah. So it has to work round behind you, and it has to work round, in front and behind you.
Yeah, so that arcade.
Yeah, and we don't want it to be that way, and we don't want it to be this way. So it's got to work in that way. So it is just getting that feeling of that push through. So
as I'm a constant puller of the ball. Yeah. So that is the best drill for me to do for now. We keep doing the other drills, because I think now.
Yeah, I think you've got to be careful not to overload yourself with drills all the time. You want. Your drills have got to be relevant to what's wrong at that point. So that's it. Because then it's gone down the line, and then once it's past that point, the club's carrying on up and out. So I do believe the end point is very important in the golf swing. A lot of people don't value the end of the golf swing. I think because we refer to it a lot as a pose, so a lot of people don't like the idea of posing. Yeah. You may be different.
I love posing.
Okay, so...
Did you know I'm YouTube famous?
Oh, yeah, for posing. So I like... A pose is where you do your most learning. The end point of the golf swing, that's where you learn most. So, I can learn... Because the end of the golf swing really is a byproduct of what's happened before it. Yeah. So good, bad or the ugly, always hold that finished position. Okay, and then we can start to go, right, when I hit a good shot, what did that end point look like? Yeah, so if I've hit a good shot, because if that end point is different...
If I've overswung like the other one went 70.
So something's happened before that. because the end point's only a product of what's happened prior to it, because that's how it's finished. So if I've done a really good, if I pulled across it, my end point might be really low and round here, whereas when I've actually managed to get it bang on, my hands just look a little bit higher. Okay, so that my hands aren't going to go low. So if I've dragged it round to the left here, my hands aren't going to go low and then magically find a lovely finish position. So it's almost, if we know what a good end point looks like, can the brain then figure out, well, how do I get to that end point? Yeah. Because a good end point doesn't look like that, for example.
No, when I'm flipping.
Exactly that. So we probably, as golfers, and also I'm first to admit as a coach of things that I've, I suppose, neglected through not sort of thinking much about it, and you get these brainwaves. So actually the end position is most important part, because that's your destination of the golf swing. That's where the swing has got to end. So that's my end destination. So all we've got to do is, if I can tell it where it's got to go, the brain is quite an intelligent thing that it'll figure out how to get there. Without initially it'll have diversion. So what we have to do is just slowly take diversions out. But if you don't know where to go in the end point, how can I expect the golf swing to be consistent if the end point it's got no end point? No. You know what I mean? So it's like getting in your car and not knowing where you're going.
No,
you could go anywhere.
It's a fraud, you know what that is, mate.
Well, absolutely.
Okay then,
so Royal. So hold your finish, good, bad, or the ugly, okay? Oh, we need to wake up because we were talking a bit. The backswing was a bit weak then, if I'm honest. So good. Let's wake the screen up. That's good. So keep the backswing. So don't change that. You went a little bit out on the backswing then. So take your time. Just hold that finish position. Good, hold it, good. So that's a really good finish position, good extension. We can see a great result, 52 yards, so good, close to 50, good extension. Look at where your arms are in relation. So I want you to recognise this.
In line with my chinnies.
Okay, so you've got a good point. We can see that the club face is pretty square there. So if you were to draw that all the way back, we can see that there. It's pretty good. Okay, so almost what we call like backward chaining. Start from the end goal, work back. Okay.
So you could do that as a drill. You could also be doing that as a drill.
Where should I finish? And then start to work that end point back to where it started. So if again, does my finish look the same every time? If my finish looks different every time, I guarantee you what's got it there is different every time. But because I don't really know where I'm trying to finish. So let's try and be more finish focused, end destination focus. So if my arms are out here or in here or whatever,
that was my
everything has gone for.
That was my next thing to you, mate. Sorry. So if on my finish as it comes round, that was me in line. Good. The 50 yard, that symbol, that was what I was looking at. What happens if my arms start going to the right?
Then you're going to start to see deviation in the path. Then you're going to potentially start to see compensation in your hands. So if my arms are travelling more right, I might start to see my hands trying to compensate. If I go more left, I might start. So that's what compensation. So if I've got, when I hit a good shot, because I hold the finish, and I know we don't like holding the end point when it's been an ugly shot. We want to forget it as quickly as possible. But that's where your best learning takes place. You will not know what's going on in swing because it's so quick. The brain can't really think what's going on in swing. But
like a second,
hundredths of a second. So what we're saying is if you hold the finish position, we can, certainly as a coach, we can then start to go, look, that finish is where it is. What was the end result? Result was that. So let's look at what that end point looks like. Because you won't have closed the club face and then magically opened it up here. So we can start to then backwards. Well, we can see the club face is a bit more shut here, so obviously it must have been a bit shut there. So by then excessively turning the wrist, that then has other knock-on effects. So again, I think we just see the end points, and often, and I know you've used the terms before, in terms that's like, well, it's gone now, isn't it? So it's irrelevant. It's mostly relevant.
That's
just because the ball has gone off the club face. What happens thereafter is massively relevant, because that's the point where you can learn. That's where I can learn.
So that's. I'm not going to do a full shot like that. 71 when I overswung. That was more like that, right the way around. Wherefore the other one.
When you've hit your 50 ones, that's it. It's just so you've retained your sort of L shape. So the shaft is up at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
And your arms are
so
at
that's
9 and...
more of a controlled swing in it.
Absolutely, because you're taking the levers out of it.
Yeah, like that biomechanics, the body's just doing
the work, absolutely. But like I said, you've got an end destination.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I said the end destination is over here, right, you'd find a way to swing the club over to me. It would be wrong, but that's because I've given you a destination.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And vice versa. We're saying the end destination is up here, through to the target where you want it to be there. So I know where I need to finish.
Yeah.
So the brain is quite clever in the sense you've got good setup, but if I'm going over the top, there's no way I'm going to finish up there.
Because that was another bad thing of mine, wasn't it?
Yeah, you was terribly over the top.
Really over the top.
Those drills you've done, you know, it happens from time to time, but it's gone.
And also trying to really like...
Smash it.
Andy wore it, telling me
very handy, throwing the club at the ball.
To really whack it, rather than just like you said, like that.
Let the club drop in, feel the weight of the club.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit on there. I mean, it's not always about hitting lots of shots.
No.
It's about the information you take in.
Okay, I've got to be honest with you, golfers. Me and Craig go back when I first started this channel and first started playing golf. And I'm constantly texting Craig every day, and it's how about going to a lesson and paying somebody, you know, whatever it is, an hour for a lesson. It's about having somebody, a coach in your corner. That's what it's more about. Because remember that there was one of the lessons at Oxley when I'd been playing that night, and my head was fried. I said, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, and you went, show me what you're doing wrong, and I showed you. You show me what you're supposed to do. And in that lesson on YouTube, you'll see it was just that. I just for some reason I went back to swinging it properly, like.
Absolutely. And I think that's the big thing. And I think it's having, like you said, having someone in your corner. I think you know the way I've always stood. You can do different things as coach, but you know I'm a firm believer is if a player invests into practicing on their time, the coach should match that investment in terms of the interest. Now, obviously, like you said, we try and keep. So if you're out practicing, it's important to send me videos, and I'll normally watch them when it's at 9 o'clock and I'm having my tea. And it's just a case of in between lessons, make sure you don't fall off on a tangent somewhere else. So, I don't want to then every lesson have you come back and we're going backwards to sort of something else we've already done because you've gone somewhere in a different. So it is important that, whilst we don't hit lots of shots here, it's important to show and keep sort of firing stuff over what's going on in between.
Because at the end of it, me having the understanding of what's supposed to be happening. That's the end goal.
It's important, and you can do it without support.
I mean, that's just what you picked up on. Obviously, because I was here like 20 minutes before, and me, because obviously where you're standing, and when you that club being slightly closed off.
Absolutely, yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
It's just by setting that up now. I mean, when you can see the proof's in the pudding, look at them shots.
Absolutely, a lot tighter dispersion. That's what we're looking to see really. So whilst we can see why the odd one goes longer. Okay, but let's hit one more, and then we'll just have a dispersion chart up just to finish. Just to sort of show what that looks like. So we might see a longer, elongated chart because of that distance one, but...
right, so come on, nice and easy.
Good.
For the last one.
What a game, what a player. So, right, let's get that dispersion chart. So we're expecting to see... Down the bottom here, we can really see a good tight dispersion within sort of 5 yards, the worst one being 5 yards left. The average being probably, the worst one there is 2.5 yards left, which is pennies, isn't it? So, but more importantly, around that sort of controller distance. So, we highlight why that is. We know that it wasn't a bad hit, it wasn't badly struck, it was just the characteristics you give. But when we start to look, that there is just pretty tight. And that's what we're looking for. That's where you're going to sort of start making your birdies on your par fives. You're going to, you're going to make your saves on your par fours if you find yourself in trouble and you recover to within sort of 50 yards. So, if we can start to continue to develop that dispersion, so potentially next time what we start to look at and lesson 3, we start to look at the 75-yard mark.
No,
and then let's build that distance up rather than going straight. Everyone wants to go straight and drive, but if we can, let's get it tight within the dispersion zone. So that's a great effort. Really, really good session. An enjoyable session, as last time was.
Well, thank you very much, buddy. I really appreciate
good to see you
that.
again.
Honestly, I can't stress enough about having someone. Everybody needs a Craig in the corner, to be honest, to help them with the golf. You've seen how I struggle with different things, and I can't stress enough. It's all right watching Muppet golfers on YouTube and watching what I do, but if you want to progress and enjoy the game, I mean, the OGs of the channel would know how frustrated I used to get right at the very beginning. I used to get really. It's about enjoying the game, and without having a pro in your corner and having the lessons to get to where we're going to get to, it's just not.
It's good. It's chalk and cheese. So you've done. And again, you know, I as a coach, you know, we're only here to support and guide and give you the advice. It is down to you as the player to take that. So, you know, for me, you know, whilst sometimes pride goes, and we appreciate that, and it makes the job worthwhile, but it is down to you as the player, because you ultimately hit the golf shot. So for me, you know, golfers don't praise themselves enough, pat themselves on the back. They're very quickly to sort of always beat themselves up on a bad shot, but not really sort of pat themselves on a good one. So, you know, whilst it's, you know, appreciate, you know, the feedback, but for me, the praise goes to you, because you've taken on board what we've said. And, you know, as I said, certainly sessions like that make my job a little bit nicer and a bit easier.
I'm driving now with a smile.
Well done to you. So,
okay, golfers, listen, thanks again to Craig. All his details will be in the bottom for any of his team if you want to go and have a lesson or anything else. What was I going to say? Yeah, if you look on the left-hand side, you'll see the first lesson. If you look on the right-hand side, there'll be one of the very first lessons me and Craig had together. And yeah, just a quick one. In the comments below, when you're going to put the like, subscribe and ring the bell, just let me know, do you prefer the golf lessons being condensed a little bit? Or do you prefer the full lessons? I mean, in the comments before, you really wanted to condense lessons, but moving forward, we can do either way.
We can give them what they want.
You have a nice weekend,
You
pal.
too. Yes.
Catch you later.
Again.
Golfers, see you later. Ta-ra.